Heyo! What's up, Zebra? I'm back, kiddo. We got another mobile version of your father's story just coming down off of Pisgah and figured do a couple videos while I'm on the ride home. So, we've got a couple questions for today. Got about a 30-minute ride, so I can get a couple in for sure. First one of the day. Still in kind of adolescent high school years. So, did you make any lasting friendships while you were in high school? Yes, I did. I made a few very good lasting friendships. Well, this kind of includes middle school too. I made a lot of, my closest friends I still have around today for sure. And I made all of those friends, almost all of those friends, when I was in middle school and then in high school as well. So, like I said, I still have really good friendships with, Braden and Josh Parlett, Jesse Anderson, but that was, I met them when I was really young, like in elementary school. But as far as like adolescent years and middle school, that's when I met uh, Jesse Risotto. I met him, Abe, Austin. Who else? Jordan Lindsay, I'm still really good friends with. I should include Ben in there too. Just the whole Hunts. I became really good friends with all of the Hunts, like the whole Hunt family, really. And that wasn't until a little bit later when I got closer with them. I kind of just met Abe when we were in fifth grade playing basketball, and I think they may have moved back to Carlsbad, and then they came back in like seventh grade. Something like that happened. A little blurry in there. But so that was during middle school. And then in high school, so I had a pretty established, like really close friends group by the time high school even came. Like we had a really tight knit group of friends. Tony was in there. Who else? I know I'm missing like a ton of people because we really had a really tight knit class, and I still have lasting friendships from then, and that's just the guys. I haven't even talked about like the girls that I'm still really close with, like Angela, Samantha, all them girls. Yeah, we were really blessed to have a really tight knit group of friends, like multiple friend groups, but all of us were really close. But the thing about it was our class was actually like super cool. Like we had a lot of really just good people in our class, and a lot of like the classes on both sides, both younger and older, kind of gravitated towards our class. Class of 2000, baby. We were pretty special. But I do have one distinct friendship that sticks out the most during high school, and it's really interesting because, well, you definitely know who he is. So Chris Morin, for sure. So Chris, he didn't move. He didn't. I don't think his family moved here until either we were sophomores or juniors. It was one of the two. And so, like Chris has always been an awesome guy. Even like in high school, he was a super cool guy. He was pretty douchey. He had like frosted tips and just a really bad smile. He was like really going, and he had like the puka shell necklace. He was really going for that Justin Timberlake, that JT status, and he was definitely not pulling it off. Or maybe he was pulling it off, but in the worst way possible. Oh, I'm just kidding. Chris has always been a cool guy. But, he came in he came in at a time when like friend groups have already been really established and we're in a small town, so it was kind of like very tight-knit groups. And Chris is a super cool guy, but I think he had kind of a hard time of fitting in, and I mean, I would have too. But Chris and I became friends. God, I can't remember. I want to say it was sophomore year. It was either sophomore or junior. I don't have the best recollection of that point in time, but I know that we became friends it was an electronic media class. I don't know if you had it when you were in school, but electronic media class is basically like journalism, so you learn how to like edit videos and, microphones and cameras. You learn about all the basics and stuff of just electronic media. It was actually a really cool class. Tony was in there, a few other people. The teacher was Miss Turnquist. I think she's since retired. She was really cool. But so I met him in that class. There wasn't that many kids in that class. I'm quite certain Chris and I became friends. I know for sure we became friends junior year in that class. Like, we partnered up on some stuff. We did we were such dorks even then. It was pretty bad. We both really liked comedy back then. We wanted to somehow like involve that with our projects and what we did. So we were kind of like, I guess, journalism partners, so to speak. Video journalists. And we had a segment that played it wasn't every week. I want to say it was once a month. I'm pretty sure it was once a month. I cannot remember the name of the thing. It was like Lion's Pride or something like that. It was basically like, video segments that went over different aspects of what was going on in the high school, maybe in our town, but I think it was pretty much directly related to the high school. And so Chris and I wanted to do a sports segment. It was called Extreme Sports. And so I don't know, for whatever reason, like, we were such uber dorks. Like, we wanted to give a different introduction into our segment every week. And so, like, we'd say, the segment was extreme sports. And so it would look at like different extreme sports that were kind of off the beaten path. And then we'd do like a 5-minute segment on it. And they were horrific. Mostly because of Chris. He just didn't have much talent. He didn't have much presence and like had a lot of bad ideas. And, I wasn't much better. And so they were pretty shitty. So anyways, our ideas, again, were really bad, but mostly they were pretty funny because they were so bad. So one of our bad ideas was to say extreme differently every time we introduced the new segment. So we'd say, welcome to another episode of Extreme Sports, or Extreme Sports. So we'd introduce it differently every time. So we'd say the name of the segment, Extreme Sports. I'm Casey Koontz, and this is Chris Morin. And today, or this week, we're talking about cow tipping. So I'm pretty sure that was our first segment. Really bad start, but a really funny start. So it kind of really set the stage for everything we did because it was so bad. And so our first element, like I said, like, we were trying to be funny about it. And I think we did pretty good. It was so bad that it was funny. And we weren't taking it very serious, so that helped. So our first episode was cow tipping. Our extreme sports athlete was Austin Brandstetter. Oh God, I would love I would love to find the video for this. So anyways, so cow tipping. So cow tipping is, I wouldn't call it a sport, so that's a dead giveaway that it was horrific. Cow tipping is the act of going up to a sleeping cow, and cows apparently sleep while they're standing up, and shoulder blocking it while it's sleeping and then knocking it over on its side or tipping it over on its side. I think we had gotten the idea from like Tommy Boy, something along those lines. And so we did actually an infield segment where we went and we found a cow. So we brought lights out, cameras, and the cow that we found happened to be at our friend Andrea Cowan's house. No pun intended. And she lived on this nice property, and she actually didn't have any live cows, but her parents did have this painted cow, you know, just like a 2D painted wood cow. It was pretty big. I mean, it was a solid like 4 feet tall and, you know, 3 feet wide, of like this cow looking at you sideways. And so we thought it'd be really funny to do a cow tipping segment and have Austin tackle this thing. And so we went out there late at night, you know, we're all dressed up in our hoodies and stocking caps and the whole thing, and we're whispering, and you know, we're asking Austin questions like, Austin, okay, here's the cow, you know, what is the approach, what do we do? And Austin did such a good job. He like totally played it off like he was a professional cow tipper. It's like, well, what you got to do is you got to approach it from the side very quietly. You know, you have to walk in this way. You know, you walk with your feet first, and then you let your, you know, your feet roll down to the ground so you don't make any sudden noises, no sudden movements. And the best way to approach it is from the front. And he starts to, you know, list off all these reasons, and then he's like, here's the most important part. So you have to get down. You have to get down in a 3-point stance, just like in football, you know. And so he gets down in the stance. And I don't remember if we give him a countdown or what it works out to, but he gets down in his 3-point stance, and then he gets up and he just spears this thing, you know, blows this wooden cow sign up. And I think we all start laughing, and then it's like the Blair Witch Project. We all start running and a bunch of camera movement. And then it jump cuts back to us in the studio, because, you know, that's how we open the segments, is we sit on this love seat, like a very small love seat made for like 1.5 people. And that's probably another part that makes the segment really funny, is that Chris is on one side, I'm on the other, and then we have our guests like in the middle between us, and we are uncomfortably close, like way within each other's comfort zones. Definitely smell everything that you've done that day, that close. And so we jump cut back in the studio, and yeah, I don't remember how we close out the segment, but that was the cow tipping one. And we did a number of different segments behind that. Wow, that was a bit of a tangent, but yeah, that was my friend Chris Morin. That's I think that's kind of what bonded us initially, is just our love for comedy and being dorks and just having a good time doing it. And so, you know, if any friendship sticks out the most to me that I made kind of during high school, it was by far with Chris Morin, no doubt about it. Because like I said, I had already made all these really close friendships before that, but Chris is the one that like I actually made in high school. And to this day, you know, Chris and I still keep in touch. I mean, obviously, you know, we do our camping trips, but, you know, prior to that, when he lived here, you know, we didn't actually rekindle our friendship until, you know, after he got out of school and moved back to Cottage Grove as a cop. And he was busting high schoolers like in Coos Bay as an undercover cop. Like, what a miserable piece of shit. Anyways, yeah, so I still love that guy, regardless of his druthers and, you know, poor decisions. He's still a good man. I love that man. And anyways, yeah. So, anyways, Hopefully that was a good, humorous video for you. Maybe you didn't know that aspect about Chris and I's friendship, but glad that I told you. And I'll see you on the next one, kiddo. Have a great day. Love you. Bye bye.